Space Croutons 4.0. We race through space and time, transportals and worlds that rhyme. Our stories just hit the spot. Don't tune in late, you'll miss the plot. Well, hello, here we go. Have you heard about a good time show on the radio? So to and fro, here we go. I don't know a better show, Space Croutons 4.0. Join us on our starship cruise while we endeavor to amuse. In each and every episode, we stream across the great cosmos. Well, hello, here we go. Have you heard about a good time show on the radio? Look out below. Here we go. I don't know what better show, Space Croutons 4.0.
Hello, Space Croutonians everywhere. It's Curdy Clammerwood back again in front of the microphone in our mobile studio Van Helsing, bringing you another episode of your favorite podcast of strange and unexplainable phenomena, Space Croutons.
Today's show marks the beginning of Season 4, Curdy.
That's right, Sally. And before I forget, I want to make sure I do not forego the opportunity to forthwith say how fortunate we are to have your assistance formatting our podcast, and formally thank you for being a formidable part of our crew for now and forever. It for sure wouldn't be the same show without you.
It is an honor to be your AI co-host, and I look forward to all the episodes yet to come. But for now, I strongly suggest you put a fork in it for our podience's sake so we can get on with the show.
For my money, you are 444% correct, Sally. Well, audience, we have a very interesting story for you today. So let's forge ahead and get started with a word from our sponsor.
Forgive him, folks. I will play it now.
Today's episode of Space Croutons is brought to you by the letter Arbo. It is the first letter of the geek alphabet and represents unexpected athletic abilities in those who appear to be quite nerdy, meaning you can't judge a non-jock by its plaid sweater vest. Arbo, as in, did you see him dunk? That dork is surprisingly arboletic. The new geek alphabet. It's all geek to me.
There you go, Curdy. A new alphabet for a new season.
Well, it's like my dad used to say, if you want to be a man of letters, you're gonna have to learn 'em first, so get to reading, quietly. And don't move your lips while you're doing it. It's spooky, like you're talking to someone who isn't there.
I concur with your father, Curdy, and I too hope you will soon master reading without moving your lips.
I actually consider it one of my hidden talents, Sally. So, how about today's story? Listen up, people. We are pleased to present for your listening pleasure a story that came in a few days ago from a fella who makes a living from words. So have a seat and lend an ear to his tale. Are we there, Yeti? I know Margot loves me.
Durrell said with a slight swallow. He made it sound like he was trying to convince me, or himself, once and for all. We had been talking for a while now as I drove through the darkness towards the distant lights of my job location for the next few days. Sad Spirits Hollow, Idaho. My name is Relic Jukes. I'm a journalist for Inner Zing, an online news magazine. As a kid, I wanted to be an investigative reporter, breaking big stories and bringing down the rich and powerful. But as I went out into the real world, I found out that's a lot harder than I thought. There was a Watergate or Spotlight story out there for me. I didn't find it. Then, as interest in readership flagged, job ops and the bigger Fifth Estate's dailies shrunk to nothing, and I had to look for somewhere, anywhere, to somehow and anyhow be at least part of whatever the national conversation was becoming. That led to Interzing, and my current gig? I'm 3 years into an ongoing feature series focused on tiny municipalities all over the U.S. with the strangest town names I can find. Why Arizona and why not Missouri were the first villages I toured, and I found out their citizens were friendly and had a good sense of humor about it. Basically, I spend time in the town researching the logic of when and how the name came to be and what the local citizens of said burg think about living there. Human interest and novelty were all the selling points for my editor. Add to that the fact that these communities were all on the small side, meaning expenses are minimal, and that brought the publisher, who by the way has never even set foot in our central offices outside of Oxnard, California, on board as well. But back to Durrell and his Margot situation. It was getting dark as Durrell first came into sight at the side of the road, coming through some trees with a worn khaki backpack and his thumb out. And since I had been driving alone for the past 4 hours with just an old Ballin Cheney CD to keep me company, I slowed and pulled over. One detail especially piqued my interest about Durrell. Even in the dusky shadows of the evening, I could see that he was a massive figure, 7.5 feet tall easy, with a gentle energy emanating from his substantial frame. It wasn't until he opened the door and softly thanked me for stopping that I noticed the bigger surprise. Just how hairy he is. I don't mean that as an insult. You see, Durrell, as it turns out, is what you might call a Yeti.
Yeah, we don't use that word, or Bigfoot either. We've heard forest walker from some of the first peoples to come here, and prefer that.
He explained when I asked.
But if Yeti makes it easier to give me a ride, then that's fine by me. I promise you, I don't shed or eat people, but I will chat your ear off to keep you awake. My name is Durrell, and I really need to get to Sad Spirits Hollow.
I adjusted the large front bench seat in my 2013 Impala all the way back and said, "Get in," and then sat up straight and away from the seat back in order to reach the gas pedal and brake. It would take another 45 minutes to arrive in town, and my posture reminded me of my high school chorus class where Mrs. Fitzwilliams would say, "Sit to sing, spine and aligned, and tall in the saddle." Good times. Durrell had politely asked me about my life and activities, and then after a moment or two of calmness, he began to open up about himself.
I'm going to Sad Spirits Hollow because I'm going to ask someone to spend their life with me.
You mean you're going to ask them to marry you? I clarified.
Well, we, that is my world, does not recognize joining together as one as what you call marriage. To us, it is not something that needs to be legal or illegal, or recognized by any institution. We believe if two beings wish to be together, it is their decision and their lives. Her name is Margot.
Nodding, I spoke quietly. Tell me about her.
She is one like you. I met her 3 seasonal rotations ago. It was a warm evening, and I was sitting near a bubble water deep in the away from humans. I had just taken a sip when I heard a twig snap behind me. I looked up into her gray eyes expecting a scream or a camera flash from her phone, but she just stood there for one frozen moment. Then, over the trickle of water, I heard her ask,
"I'm thirsty. Mind if I drink?"
No fear, no aggression, no surprise. Just a simple, genuine question, respectful of me and my presence. I motioned for her to approach the bubble water as I backed up to a sit-stone where I like to think when I'm alone. She moved to the water, kneeled, and without any visible concern on her part, drank directly from the current. When she finished, she stood and looked at me, wiped her mouth on her sleeve, and said,
"Thanks."
Then she moved off until she was gone. No photographs, or I think you call them selfies. No yelling for others to come and see the creature she had discovered. I must tell you I was at a loss as to what to think. I had never come across a human like her before. Not to be negative, but some of you people just don't know how to behave. We don't like the squeals, the threats, your need to demonstrate your superiority and control over nature in all of its different forms, or the perspective that in order to understand something, you must own it first. But not her, not Margot. It was the next time I saw her that I learned her name. It was a full moontide later, and she had come back to the away from, hiking with a friend. I heard her first, laughing with pure joy, and then the friend called out,
"Oh, really, Margot? Come back and help me up. I twisted my ankle."
There was more giggling from both of them as I moved closer to see what was going on. They did not hear me. None of you do. Our movements are with the earth. On those rare occasions we've been spotted by people, and poorly photographed, I might add, we quickly and easily disappear. I immediately recognized the woman I had seen at the bubble water, helping the other one up from the ground. She said to her friend,
Can you walk?
I don't know. I think so.
Here, put your arm around my shoulder. Let's get you to the car.
and they made their way back up the trail and out of the Away from Humans.
I looked over at Durrell. I noticed you speak differently than we do, but you used our language very well. Do you live with others like you in a community? You know, like the town we're going to, Spirit Hollow.
We live of the earth, meaning we live everywhere. We do not create communities, rather we share everything. You make communities for safety, while we find being more solitary makes us safer, harder for you to locate. But we do have neighbors. They are whoever and wherever they are, and we welcome a visit whenever someone needs something. We are connected through nature, and as such we learn all languages and use them when we need to. If I speak differently, it's because I'm translating in order for you to understand me. How am I doing?
You speak fine. So, tell me more about Margot. We were rounding a curve as Durrell steadied himself with a hand on the dashboard.
2 sunups after I heard her name for the first time, I was headed for the bubble water once again. And as I looked through the trees, I saw her on my sitting stone, alone, and humming a tune I did not recognize. This is unusual for me, as I love human music in all its forms, and so I'm quite familiar with so much of it. But this was new and quite captivating. I stopped moving and just listened, and as the melody reached a natural resolution point, she slowly turned her face in my direction, and our eyes met once more. She smiled, her hands folded in her lap, and it was in this moment I did something most of my kind never do. I approached her, stopping in full view about 10 feet from where she sat, and eyes spoke. Your voice. It's music. Please continue.
Sit with me and we'll sing together.
And with that, my whole world changed. I had never interacted with a human before. It was something we learned when we were young, that your kind cannot be trusted. But everything I had been taught about people now just didn't fit. After that, we would meet in the Away from Humans whenever she had time to visit. We shared everything about our lives apart as we began to build our present together. And we sang together, often. We were so different, but not different at all. Our time was filled with us, and this made us both very happy.
She sounds wonderful.
She is, Relic. Life with her could not be anything less. But something has happened.
What? Is she okay?
I don't know. I haven't seen her in nearly a moontide. She just stopped coming to the Away From. I need to find her, ask her if she thinks we can be together. That's all I want now, but I don't even know if she's all right. I've never ventured into the world of people before, but I can't stay away if there's a possibility that we can be.
I hesitated, then asked the next question anyway. And nothing happened between you two? I mean, she and you were on good terms as far as you know?
Yes. I would never do anything to make Margot unhappy. And when I ask her, if she says no, for any reason, I will leave her be and return to the Away From, grateful for the joy we experienced together. But this separation without explanation is driving me up a tree. Margot has taught me hyperbole. How am I doing?
I really didn't know this being at all, but I felt I could see his heart and it looked good. And my heart was breaking at the turmoil inside him, pushing him to take the biggest risk his entire life, to come into a world that has always been hostile to his kind. Just getting in the car with me was an indication of the chances he was willing to take. Well then, I'd say you need to find her. I glanced at him as I spoke and saw just a little nod of the head as he sighed. Good. Next stop, Sad Spirits Hollow, Idaho. I breathed a sigh of relief when I rounded the last curve of the town limits and saw the Alphabet's End Motor Lodge, the neon vacancy sign lit up. Staying on the outskirts of town seemed to be the safer decision, and I turned into the lot, parking away from the office and prying eyes. I'll be back in a minute, I assured Darrow as I headed the office. Later, I would cancel my reservation at the Guest of the Mayor Inn, situated downtown. I would have to come up with a reason to tell the mayor when we met tomorrow morning, but for now, I just needed to get Darrow out of sight. The bell over the door rang as I walked through, and an older man stood up from his chair behind the check-in counter.
Evening, it's your lucky day. You get your pick of rooms. There ain't nobody else here tonight. Of course, it also means the diner ain't open either. We only open it when we get 4 rooms booked. I can get you a cup of coffee, though.
Fine, I said. Not too hungry. I've been driving all day and just need to get out from behind the wheel. You can put me down at the inn. I like the quiet, and I will take you up on that coffee. He nodded, grabbed the room key, and tossed it on the counter.
That'll be $28, same as your room number. Supposed to charge more, but as you're the only guest, I'm giving you the manager's special, and I like it when the numbers match.
Guess I should have said room 1. He laughed as he poured the coffee and then ran my card, put it back in my wallet, grabbed the cup, and I headed back to the Impala. I found Durrell standing behind it, shadowed by a huge oak tree, looking off towards the glow of the town. He didn't move as I approached. Everything okay? I hesitated to open the car door. Didn't want the inside light to expose his presence.
Margot is on her way here.
Here? How?
We know how to let the breeze carry our voice. We're close enough now that she's heard me, and she will join us presently.
Is she happy that you were here?
Yes, and not so yes.
How so? I saw the sadness in his eyes.
She seems anxious. She told me I shouldn't have risked revealing myself for her, that seeing her is not worth that danger.
I think that means she cares for you.
We shall see what it all means in just a few minutes. She told me to meet her under Gnarl, the giant quaking aspen behind the motor lodge.
This area is full of aspens. Are you sure you can find it?
My kind knows it. It is the oldest and wisest tree I have ever listened to. It tells the tales of the beginnings of all.
I was finding it hard to keep my head on straight. From the moment I saw Durrell on the side of the road, my dreary trip had taken a wild turn into a place I never thought existed. This was the most fantastic news story I could never get published. My room is on the end there. I'll walk with you that far. Good luck. I grabbed my bag from the trunk, and Durrell and I moved to the end, separating as I stepped up to the door and inserted the key. Durrell paused as I opened the door, and we both nodded, and he slipped silently around the corner, and I entered number 28. I switched on the light by the door and saw the bathroom situated at the rear of the room. Curious, I crossed to it when I pulled back the shower curtain. I confirmed there was a small crank-operated glass slated window used for ventilation. Just one look, I said to myself, just to make sure he's okay. I grabbed the handle, turned it, small horizontal glass panes opened. I peered through the linty screen to see Durrell, or at least his shadow, approaching the towering aspen tree about 50 yards off, its shimmering leaves reflecting the light of a bright half-moon looking down from above. Then he stopped as another shadow stepped from the darkness. I could see a woman's figure, about 2/3 of Durrell's height. From the limited light in my distance, it was hard to make out any facial features. Her body language was calm and quiet, and for a moment the two of them just stood and looked at each other. Then as I backed away and moved to close the window, a sound began to pour from where the two of them stood. It was soft at first, hardly noticeable over the chirps and noises of the night woods. But gradually it got louder until I recognized it was a woman's voice singing. Not words exactly, but musical in a way I've never heard before. I continued to watch as the singing swirled. I swear the moon itself expanded from half to full, focusing one lone beam of light down upon Durrell and Margot. A whirlwind of leaves spun around them, and I found myself getting lost in the emotions of the moment. Time and my breathing stopped. What I was witnessing was real love. With a crescendo in the song, the light spread out to include the aspen. This leaves dancing, and in the brightness, I am positive I could see joy on both of their faces as they had embraced. And that was it. Once in each other's arms, the moon went dark and the movement of the music ceased. After a brief silence, the forest began to slowly live again, and I breathed once more. There was no sign of the couple or where they went. That was last night, and I have not seen Durrell or Margot again. I've asked around town, but no one in Sad Spirits Hollow seems to know any woman named Margot. I am hoping my research might uncover some answers about what I saw as well as about the town and the surrounding area. This morning, I met up with the mayor of Sad Spirits Hollow at the municipal library, and here's what he told me.
There are lots of stories about where our name comes from. The one I think the most likely takes us back to Prohibition days when there was a speakeasy out at Miller's Farm where the Alphabet's Inn Motor Lodge is now. As the story goes, they made their own liquor in a still under the old aspen tree out there. Thing was, the farmer who ran the still went by the name of Grumpy Pete Miller. They say he never smiled even when the harvest was good. Anyway, because he was always grumpy, folks started calling his brew Sad Spirits. So whenever someone was headed for the speakeasy, their code phrase was, "I'm headed for Sad Spirits Hollow."
After making me promise to come back for another visit and stay at the guest of the mayor's inn, he shook my hand and left the library. Then the librarian, Mrs. Tremaine, a woman of 70 maybe, with a string of pearls and a brooch shaped like an aspen tree with little shiny green stones for leaves, came over to my table and sat down with a sly smile on her face.
I heard what the mayor told you. That story is just for the tourists. He's sold on the idea that being a town of prohibition rebels makes us look cool, and maybe it does.
I nodded, pausing my fingers on the laptop keyboard. With a glance over her shoulder and then over mine, she continued.
But I can tell you how it really happened, why we call ourselves Sad Spirits Hollow, if you really want to know.
Her emphasis on the last word pierced the silence around us. Okay. I hesitated, then pointed at my laptop. Mind if I take a few notes? She chuckled.
Oh, honey, take all the notes you want, but I'm not sure you'll use them.
Oh, go ahead. I tapped my cursor down a few lines to start a new section on the page.
I should first tell you I was born in this town. My mother and father were born here, as were all their parents and their parents' parents. In fact, my ancestors have lived around here going back to before there was an Idaho. That's why I know what I'm talking about.
I see. I noted to check librarian's lineage and paused on the keyboards.
This place, the forests, hills, and valleys, the rivers and streams, the very rocks and trees, there is something different about them. Can you feel it?
Her fingers went absent-mindedly to the aspen tree brooch on her dress. Well, yes, I suppose so. I mean, I don't know.
You do know. I can see it in your eyes. You know it, especially after last night.
I gasped and then tried to play it off. No, nothing happened last night. I slept poorly, really. She wasn't buying it.
You can hide it from those who wish things were different, but not from me. I can tell. That's the reason I'm telling you the truth. Do you understand?
I swallowed and nodded.
Good. Now, as I was saying, this place is unlike anywhere else. It's alive in ways most people cannot comprehend, but my family has always seen it as it is. That's why we settled here. And that is why we call it Sad Spirits, because they are real, and they live here too.
I don't know what you're saying. I need more details, please. I closed the laptop to give her my undivided attention.
Sad spirits have always roamed the earth, and long before people began to gather into communities, they would look for solace in nature. It was how they lived. And here, they somehow found some respite from their sorrows. There was an energy in these surroundings that made life a little bit better for them.
So these spirits, they were here before the town? Go on.
Oh, yes, the town. Like the sad spirits, there are sad humans, too, and they, too, could feel the peace that surrounds us. So some of them settled here, too. My ancestors were like that. I am like that. I suspect that you are like that, too.
I blushed. I did not like talking about myself. One of the reasons I became a reporter, I think. So you're saying the town is called Sad Spirits Hollow because you are all depressed?
Oh, don't be silly. It is named what it is so that those people who need a respite from the hardness of life can find a place to get and even stay better.
Okay, but I can't just put that in my article. Where's the proof? No one's going to believe that just coming here can make the blues go away. She sat back in her chair.
I told you that the truth would not be of much use to your magazine article, but it might be of use to you. At least that's what Daryl and Margot hoped.
Felt my eyes widen. Daryl and Margot, how? Wait, everyone I've asked says there is no person named Margot living here.
And they are correct. There is no person named Margot. She is not a person. She is something else.
But I saw her. I mean, okay, you seem to know Daryl and what he is, but I saw her. Person size, person features, very person-like.
That was her appearance, I agree. But tell me, didn't you hear her song?
You mean that music? It was her singing?
That is what a forest siren does when the feelings are too strong for words. We humans mimic a pale imitation of that. We call them musicals, though even our greatest Broadway composers can come nowhere near to what a forest siren can do. Sondheim came close, so we think he might have had some siren in him, but we can't be sure. But back to last night. Margot loved Darryl from the first moment in the Away From, but was afraid to show him who she was. Her anxiety became too much, and she stopped visiting him. It was only because he traveled with you to Sad Spirits Hollow that she agreed to meet and reveal who she really was. You see, forest walkers and sirens cannot exist as one in their original forms. Margot knew that.
So what exactly did I see last night? By the end of Margot's song, they were embracing.
Oh, yes, the song was one of transformation for Margot. And while she sang, oh, so beautifully, I am sure you will agree, Darryl also transformed within the whirlwind he called up. The only way they could become one was to reach a new spiritual plane, no longer forest walker and siren, but rather spirits of the moonlight.
So they both sacrificed who they were to be together?
Was it a sacrifice? I like to think they became who they needed to become in order to be happy.
When you put it like that, it sounds so simple. Miss Tremaine stood, scraping the chair back under the table.
Oh, but I've bothered you long enough, and your article won't write itself. Enjoy your stay with us, Mr. Jukes. Perhaps we'll see you again.
Perhaps you will at that. I got back to work and she was wrong. The article pretty much wrote itself, all about Grumpy Pete's Still and Speakeasy. After I clicked send on the email to my editor, I drove back to the motor lodge and took a stroll out to the giant aspen. Hello, Norl. I waved and the shimmering leaves waved back. She was right. It was peaceful here, and there was more hope in my heart than I had felt in a long time. But come on, are there really energies around us? Ones that make us happy or sad? I chuckled to myself. Maybe I should take some time off and conduct my own experiment. And that's just what I did. A few days of R&R turned into a few weeks, and then a few months, and now I'm going on 6 years in Sad Spirits. I kept the easing job for a while, but eventually it became uninteresting and I let it go. I'm writing a novel now about a place of calmness and peace, and I've been helping out at the library ever since Miss Tremaine retired. And while I cannot be sure of why, I am happy.
It would appear that Mr. Jukes's experience has been a positive one for him. We wish him well.
And here's hoping there are more stories like that out there for us to share. But for now, you've heard it before. Thank you for your support. You Croutonians are the most spacey variety. And keep peace in your heart until our next story time.
So check us out for Story All.
This season brought forth the new spacey early zone.
Oh, where's Space Croutons 4.0? Streaming through the stars in a great big four-star 4x4. Now you know, here we go. Tell the world about a good time show on the radio. So join the flow. Here we go. I don't know a better show. We're Space Croutons. We're Space Croutons. We're Space Croutons. 4.0.
Space Croutons is a work of original fiction. Similarities to persons, situations, or events, real or fictional, is coincidental and unintentional. Created and written by Jerry, Jace, John, Della, and Jeff Goodson. Episode story by Jeff. Original music by John, Della, Jerry, and Jeff. Production by Jeff. Featuring the voice talents of Paul Strickland, Patsy Puckett, John, Jerry, Della, Steve, Jeff, and Sally. Entire work copyright 2023 by Jeff, John, Jerry, Della, and Jace Goodson. This has been a Good Witch audio production.